Talk about it all you want. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for February 3rd. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a FinCom open seat. Just one? Okay. So there's an open seat on the FinCom. Expiration date is June 30, 2016. If anybody's interested, please send over an email or a letter to the Board of Selectmen's Office of Interest. So the next item is the warrant discussion, but also discussing of the COA purchase of the paddock property. So why don't we come on, if you guys want to come on up, and we can start with that. So in the Land Use Committee meeting the other night, Mr. Rudden was there as well as I was there, and there was discussion of future growth of the COA, and if we were going to be adding on to that facility, and is there enough land available for the addition. With the purchase of with a possible purchase of the paddock property, there may be a way to take a portion of that land and make it, in conjunction with their add-on to what's there as far as the lot size that would allow for expansion of the COA facility. So the only problem with that is if we do that purchase of the paddock property with the CPA funds, the portion that we would use for the COA, we would have to find some money to be able to purchase that piece, to purchase the acreage that you would need for the expansion of the COA. When we left that meeting, it was discussed that Gary Air would look at adjusting the paddock piece to see what we would need in order to make that conducive. I don't know that that's happened yet. And then the other item was if we are going to even purchase this piece, then it would be kind of a non-issue at that point, and we'd either have to fit any COA expansion within the current site or find a new site to build a whole new COA at some point in time. So I think that that's about as much as I have, or...
You summed it up very nicely.
Okay, good.
Our position is just that while the town is considering that property, and that land is immediately, well, next to us, behind us, whatever, we support its purchase, because we're just beginning to examine what the future needs are.
Mm-hmm.
So we're months away from determining if what we need would fit on the current site. And our only concern is if that property goes away and we can't fit what we need on the current site, then we have to look for an alternative site.
Sure.
And the way it was left, Mr. Chairman, that I remember was the CPC committee was going to get an appraisal on the property as a whole, and then the 4 or 5 acres that we're looking at, and then you guys in the finance committee would determine, based on that appraisal, if it's affordable.
Correct.
And if it's bought and we don't need it, it can always become part of the larger open space if the whole thing is bought.
So what's happening if the piece is purchased with, okay.
I think. I'm just kind of curious in terms of expansion. We don't know what the expansion needs are, right, at this time?
We have a rough idea, but we're on the list of the capital planning committee. We hit the lowest priority last year, or this fiscal year, looking for some funds to have an architect translate that into a design and cost concept. And when we met with the Finance Committee last month to go over our fiscal 15 budget, we asked that that be moved up to this year if possible, so we can do that. I mean, in a broad sense, we know about 4 things we're looking at.
What are those?
Having a meeting room, let's see if I can do them all. Having a meeting room,
Kevin, I know you can pull it back.
well, no, they're the 4 of them, I just want to make sure I get them. One is having a meeting/function room that can seat at least 200 people. The other one is expanding the kitchen so that it would accommodate the ability to serve 200 people. 3 to 4 private meeting rooms for intake sessions, doctor's appointments, et cetera. A garden, a community garden that the seniors have been asking for to plant and grow vegetables. And actually, the 5th is obviously the appropriate parking, septic, et cetera, to support that. And just looking at the site as I see it now, given the wetlands constraints on one side, and even if has been talking about moving the septic, I'm hard pressed to see how you could do it. It also has to be 1 story. I mean, you got to remember, that building was built by volunteers. The addition was built by volunteers, but most senior centers that are built today are 1 story.
So it all seems very reasonable. And the 200-person room,
Yeah.
that one, I raised a question and said, wow, that seems big.
Not when you're going to have 3,000 people over the age of 60 in this town in less than 15 years. So we're not trying to build a Taj
No,
Mahal.
I know, what I'm saying, I just like, when you say something like that, I just want to understand, so current capacity versus,
50 in the main room.
right,
We're
so,
beginning to turn people away from events in that room due to capacity issues.
right. And then the community garden, I mean, the biggest issue I see is if we purchase with CPC funds completely, you can't repurpose that land for something like this, except for
Right.
maybe the community garden. I'm sure we could probably,
Right.
that parcel could be part of that.
Right. But I mean, we also, also just to give you an idea right now, I mean, any event we have, the parking goes across the street into the private industrial building that we don't even own, but the folks that own it, don't complain.
Yeah.
But then you have the seniors crossing Providence Street, and even with the orange cone in the walkway, it's kind of like going to the post office.
It's not ideal.
Dodge them.
Right.
No, so I mean, we're hitting capacity issues, and, we're not looking at a Taj Mahal. We know just aging the census forward as the baby boomers go up until about 2040, it's going to go up and it's going to crash. So we're saying, the ability to fit 200 and 250, and, counting the existing facility, isn't a Taj Mahal, but let's just get some service in there.
Right.
And then, as the population goes down in the future, you don't have this white elephant sitting there. You probably still will be small, but it's Mendon-sized, as I call it, We don't build palaces.
I mean, to me, it's more of a timing issue, if you could.
It's a
have our druthers-
timing issue.
Right.
Well,
So,
I don't know, sorry, so as far as the land is concerned, it's a timing issue. Now,
Right.
a couple other items come into play here. So say that it doesn't pass, then the issue becomes, okay, well, the town doesn't own the land, but at the same time, now that whoever does own the land, if we needed a small portion, we could always approach then and ask.
Yes.
If we needed to. Again, but, God only knows what would happen with the property. Maybe they'll build a 5-lot subdivision in there or whatever. I don't think it's very conducive to development based upon the contour of the land and the wetlands that are in there, but that's just an initial guess. Anything can be done, given,
well, before we knew that the property was for sale last summer, we had discussed it as the council of approaching them to see if the family, to see if they were interested. But then we sort of said, we need to find our needs first. You can't go to them and said, would you sell us some? We wanted to have the needs, so we requested the money, got on the capital list. Then the purchase started moving, and our concern is just, if the town is going to purchase it, let's at least get the appraisal, find out what a sliver next to us costs.
Mhm.
You know, it's up to you guys in the finance committee to say if the town has the money. And I'm not assuming this is a large cost either,
No, I mean, I think we were, at the meeting the other night, we were guessing, 50 grand or something like that.
between 50 and 100.
Yeah, of what they would need to cut off that we'd have to actually just pay for. Now, I don't know, where the breaking point is as far as, I know we probably don't have it $50,000 to $100,000 kicking around anywhere else other than stabilization.
I wasn't gonna say it, but I was thinking it.
Well, I mean, I think that, given where we're at, if it's 50 grand, I'd be more apt to say, yeah, let's take it out of stabilization for now, and because that's.
This would
kind of
require a
the-
vote too, right?
Of course, and then,
I mean, like a ballot, isn't it? If we-
No,
Oh,
no, not if you take it out of stabilization.
But if we want debt or anything else, then that's probably too small.
If you did a debt exclusion, but it's awful small to do it,
I would agree.
Bond. But our feeling is, just as long as that property is being considered, we wanted to make sure our needs were known publicly and that we were considered in that overall
I
purchase
think-
framework. And if it's decided that it's a no-go on the portion for us or even the whole thing, we just went on record as saying this is our need.
I think that if we're gonna, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that even if the town purchased it, I mean, if you look at some of the stuff that Ann laid out on the CPC side, things like recreate, there's no reason why that land will be used for something. I think the bigger thing is it's probably very much at the heart of the, sort of the, what do they call it, the town center or the town village or whatever, the master plan committee, that area is starting to be seen as something that's gonna be built up a little bit.
Yeah,
Some people, yes.
right, well, the only concern I have is that it's not the best piece of property. It's not the best piece of property for anything like fields or something like that. I mean, it's pretty, there's a drastic change in elevation, correct? I mean, did you go walk it the other day? You said?
I didn't walk it when the Gary and Helen engineer went. We went out in the, was it the 18th of January, Jim?
What's that?
When we walked it, it was the Saturday where it snowed and rained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went out, we curtailed it, and I mean, the portion we were looking at, if you go to the left of the senior center, would be coming back up towards Town Hall, and then you hit a natural drainage stream, and we wouldn't want to go further than that, and that section.
Right, but if we go further than that, now we have that, now we're into the access to the property, correct, for anything else?
We don't know that. I mean, I haven't seen an engineered
I
plan.
don't know about it.
We did not determine on that first walk where the boundary line between the current house and the piece for sale is. And again, that would be something to look at. I mean, obviously the next step is if the town doesn't do it, we know the land's going to be sold. We'd go approach whoever buys it and talk to them as well. But we just wanted we didn't want the land bought with CPA money, which precludes us from using it
I think that.
without raising our issue.
I think that how we do this is get Gary Air to, again, we'll spend, it's gonna cost a little bit of money to have it engineered out as far as some space for the COA. If we're gonna move forward with purchasing this, I don't know how we have to probably put a second article on here, or does it roll under the,
The way the
Same
article
article.
is, the way the article is worded covers both possibilities.
okay,
The motion would
by
specify
the funding sources?
what it is. Yeah, I actually reviewed the wording of the motion, of the article with Ann to make sure it has that possibility. You would then, the actual motion would say this and this, but
So I guess the idea is that if we were going to purchase this, let's get the,
the appraisal is the
the
important factor.
correct appraisal on what we would need for acreage. We'll make a determination if we can afford it out of stabilization or somewhere else. But if it doesn't pass, then we'll cross that bridge when we need to at that
And
point.
the next step is if it, you don't have the money and you buy it all with CPC, we're out of luck that way. And if the town decides not to buy the land, then our next step is to approach whoever buys it.
But I think if we buy it with CPC, then we're actually just totally sealing the fate of using that site in the future.
You are.
I'd
because
rather
we-
either see if we don't purchase it by carving out a piece for the COA and buying the other piece for CPC, that we don't buy it at all. because I think that it's a waste at that point. Because now we're gonna have to find another location for a whole new facility. So I think that I'd rather see it get sold privately, and then we approach the person at that point and say, hey, based upon what our needs are, we need to buy an acre or 2 acres from you off here in the backside that would help us to expand our space, and hopefully that the person is kind enough to work with us on that.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, the purchase came up before we got the funding to complete the study and come up with an idea of what we
Agreed,
need.
and completely understood. I mean, I wouldn't want to rush that anyway.
And, no, it's hopefully by the, at some point, we'll be able to do that and come up with, a conceptual plan and a rough cost estimate and take that forward, but we're not there.
Okay,
So,
great.
we just wanted, again, our
Yep.
feelings known.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Two more COA?
Oh, sorry, you want to stay on up? We got two more items. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. All right, so we have discussed future opening of COA outreach worker position.
Yeah, just to let you know, Amy Wilson-Kent would have been here, our director, to discuss the next piece, the outreach worker, but she had a little bit of trouble getting home in the weather and called us, and we advised her to stay home and not drive back.
Okay.
Basically, the current outreach worker we have, who's working 6 hours a week, has said she's leaving,
Okay.
and would stay until we replaced her. That position's been funded first by 2 grants that we obtained, and now through our state elder affairs grant, so there's not town money involved in this. The position was posted. It's $13.25 an hour for 6 hours a week. There was 1 person apply. The person is Beverly Hart, who is a retired Clough first grade teacher who taught all 3 of my kids. She may have taught you, Lonnie. I know she taught you, Mark. She taught your son. She is
Taught my
currently
daughters.
volunteering at the center, and because Amy's not here, the job application package is in Amy's car with Amy at home, but she said she'd bring it in tomorrow. I believe everything's been done except the query check, and would like the approval to hire her.
My own, 6 hours a week. She's retired from the school?
She is retired, yes. And the money is coming from the,
Is she allowed to work that many hours?
yes,
I thought it was 150 hours.
she applied, so,
I understand, but make sure she checks with the retirement on that, because
Okay.
I know that, I don't know if it's 150, I think it's 150 hours total per year. I know that that's what, huh?
Abatement cap, is that what you're asking?
No, this would be for a retired employee working for a municipality.
I don't know what the.
I don't know whether, I'm totally fine with it as long as if she checks with it and gets the deal, because again, at the end of the day, I don't think it's, I have no problem with it. All I know is we just hired somebody.
Yeah, I know I don't know how long she's been retired. I know at a certain age, from 62 to 65, I know there's a cap on Social Security earnings, but that goes away at 65. And I don't know where she sits in that.
Yeah, it's just, it works out to be about 312 hours. Again, as long as, I don't want her to screw up her retirement, or, so just as long as she checks on it, it's fine. But
Okay.
I'm okay with the appointment.
Sure.
If she reaches her 100, if she can only do 150, she'll just have to stop at some point, or she'll risk problems with retirement.
Well, we also have no money beyond December, as far as I know.
I'm going to be on December. For
I'm
what?
sorry, June, the end of the fiscal year.
For this position?
Yeah, because it's funded by a grant.
So is there an additional ask there from a budget standpoint to continue
No.
the?
No, we'll look at putting in, actually, we have it in fiscal 15.
Okay.
Still funded by the grant.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
And I just asked the question more of if it's one of those, watch items we want to put out there, as something that might need to become part of the operating budget. So let's
At
put-
some point in the future, it would, our intent is to nurse it along with grants as long as, to keep nursing with the grant as long as we can get grants.
Okay.
Your expectation is 16 is sort of the next time we're going to potentially worry about it, maybe 15, but right now 15?
Not 15,
Okay,
16.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the other issue was just as part of our, you guys had sent us a note back in the fall asking us to do a job performance review of the director. And in the course of that review, the Council on Aging determined that she's working a 40-hour work week, even though she's getting paid for 35. So we sent you guys a note back in December. And the Finance Committee, we never heard from either of you. The Finance Committee, when we did our budget hearing for 15, referred us back to you, and we'd just like to see if you have any feelings on making,
Sure.
this is not a backdoor way of getting a raise. It's kind of recognizing the workload that's there.
No, understood. So, okay, before we just move on, do we need to make this appointment, or do you need to make the appointment?
It is she is a town employee,
So
so
we need to make the appointment for, sorry, what was the name on that again?
Beverly Hart, H-A-R-T.
Beverly.
So I move to appoint Beverly Hart to the position of COA outreach worker role. Is there a start date in mind?
She has to complete the thing in the paperwork. I would just say, when should she start, Jim?
What?
When do you want Beverly to start?
The current outreach worker that we have will work with her, for a couple of weeks just to, but this gal, this Mrs. Hart she's fantastic. She's been volunteering down the center. She's talked to the outreach worker, and
Okay. So March
we think she's
15th?
gonna be great.
I mean, sorry, February 15th?
That's a Saturday.
Okay, the 14th?
17th?
Oh, the 17th,
14th 's a
Monday?
Friday, 17th?
I don't, you guys need, it doesn't matter to me when she starts, but you said that you need to run a Cory check on it, and that, when does the other one want to be finished?
She'll stay until Beverly's
So,
up to
okay,
speed.
so,
I'd rather have her start next Monday.
just put it as of today, and they can work out when.
Yeah. I'd rather say next Monday, because the other person actually gave us notice in December and has really just stayed on till we
Say
got somebody.
February 10th then, that's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair
All
enough.
right, so I move to appoint Beverly Hart to the position of outreach worker, COA outreach worker position for 6 hours per week at $13.25.
Yes.
Starting February 10th, 2014,
Pending a Cory check.
pending a Cory check.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, perfect. All right, that's done.
And just back to the director's hours, I mean,
Yep.
this is, we're trying to do this the right way we brought it up during the budget cycle. We're not coming here in like July.
No, I think that, I've definitely spoken to the director about it as well. I would think that there's definitely, the workload is there to warrant 40 hours. I think that what needs to be done is we would discuss it through the budget process here. If it, was it asked for in the current budget ask?
We did bring it up, and the Finance Committee referred us back to you.
Okay, but is it in the budget ask, though?
No.
Okay, so,
We do know the approximate cost of it, though.
okay, what I'd like to do is get it on the budget spreadsheet. So right now, we're already working in a deficit right now on the budget.
Yep.
So, huh?
Big one.
A big one. So what we'd like to do is, although we'd like to have the ask on there, if it's possible to work it in, we'd like to, I think that I would be amenable to working it in. I do understand that I would agree that it's probably been a
Why is he
long.
pointing at me?
Because you're gonna, no, I'm only kidding, I'm just pointing it
No,
out.
I am actually gonna.
At some point, it's going, I think that this has been quite some time that this has probably been needed. So I would think that, I would like to see it on the budget spreadsheet with a notation that says, this is an ask at this point. Moving forward, that, I know, again, I keep referring back to we've been rebuilding. This is not necessarily a rebuild, but probably something that needs to happen. This is more of an addition, so,
And we are very grateful that virtually everything that was cut in past years has been restored, so
right.
we did not do this lightly, saying,
No,
let's.
no, and I think.
I'd rather
that-
hear
I
it,
think that things,
honestly.
things along these lines are coming. We'll do our best to accommodate it as soon as possible. But I think as a little bit more time goes by, you're gonna see it, that it might be a lot easier to reinstate this, maybe in the next fiscal year budget, but, sorry, Mr. Schofield.
Yeah, so I feel compelled if we add that to the budget, then we should add the increases for all the inspectors, what they want. We should add the extra animal inspector money. We should add the extra 5 hours that the town accountant thinks that she needs, so.
Okay,
So-
so, I mean,
You've captured them all, right? So we can discuss them.
Well, I know what they all are, but I haven't bothered to add them because it's not
I
gonna.
know, I
it's
mean-
not
all
gonna-
right, then,
My-
okay, then we simply just need an ask list. I mean, if we have, we should note this stuff.
Right,
I
we don't want to
think.
lose them, because at some point we want to revisit it, potentially.
Okay, so, all right, fine.
Maybe just as a side note,
Capture
But
it on the
I-
side so we can track it,
Yeah.
know what it is.
right, and if we have the ability, this year to say, okay, things do work out good, we have a good balanced budget, and we can pick one, maybe we pick it out of a hat, so it's fair, but, I'm just saying that,
Hopefully we're more scientific than that.
sometimes it's the best way, right?
Yeah, no, but, I mean, in all seriousness, I think one of the first things that I would like to see happen with the town administrator is do somewhat of, I think we've talked about this quite a bit in terms of job evaluations, performance management systems. I think this sort of falls into that.
Yeah.
To really more formally look at it across the municipality, to say, I'm sure there is a need there, and I'm sure, there's a need in the accountant's office, et
And
cetera.
we are seriously moments away from a town administrator, so
Well, I mean, we're going to interview Thursday, right?
we're moments away.
Relatively speaking.
In comparison to the past 3 years, we are moments away.
I just want to make sure it's crystal clear that my comment there doesn't
Right.
mean that I don't think any of that is warranted, because actually I think it's all warranted.
Right.
From what we've heard. I mean, Lonnie and I met with the inspectors, and they got an absolute point. The Board of Health has been in making their point on their animal inspector. We're lucky that we get away with what we get away with. And I'm sure it's the same thing with the COA director. It's just a matter of, we got to do it top to, we don't want to be drip fed, right? We want to look at it all together. And
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we do, and whether or not, that we're on the same page.
Our concern was bringing it up the right way during the budget cycle as opposed to halfway through the year,
Yep.
so.
Agreed, yeah, I think
I
that.
think you're doing that,
Yeah,
too.
right, that we're looking forward for the next year, not saying, let's do this today.
Right, well, we've also been here long enough in front of town boards that we know how you guys feel if somebody walks in August, when the budget's been set in July, and somebody says, well, we want to increase this. It's not the right time to do it.
Agreed. Ken?
Could you add to that motion, subject to grant funding, until and that way it covers it until you get into the budget season? Subject to grant funding?
Oh, no, you're thinking of the previous
Awesome.
item.
This is,
Yeah, we're on a different item.
You really did?
what?
Did you vote on it?
Yeah,
What?
outreach worker?
Yeah.
Outreach worker, yeah.
Yeah. We appointed that. So that's a replacement that's of a funded position.
Wow. I apologize for not wearing my hearing aids today.
Okay. Okay, all right, so, okay, agreed, we're okay on that. At this point, can we move to the consider guidelines for senior veteran work-off
Thank you.
abatement program, Corey guidelines and departmental request? Is that you? Oh, I'm sorry. My brain saw V and N and assumed van.
I'm going to jump down. Got a lot of
veteran.
people for this one.
That's how fast I was reading it.
I'm going to jump down here, just because there are a lot of people here.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we move down to the solar lease negotiations and net metering agreement? Just because I know that a lot of people are probably interested in that. If everybody would like to come on
Come on
down.
up, Rich.
Well, as an assessor, I was asked to come down.
Come on. Oh, yeah, because I'm sure we have the
And Linda?
items. With,
Linda might have,
yeah, anybody that wants to come to the
Like to-
table is more than welcome to join us.
And then it would also make it easier if you're not having hearing aids.
Yeah, right. We don't have to repeat ourselves over and over again.
You won't throw pens.
It's the big So Kurt from Valley Tech?
That's correct.
Okay, so we have Kurt here with us tonight from Valley Tech, and I'm assuming because that's the, to discuss the items as far as purchasing the power from this project?
I guess. I was just told
All
that
right.
y'all were having a meeting, and, certainly to be here to see what y'all were doing with your agreement, because we all have some tentative things that we've signed, and we're just kind of waiting to see how it unfolds.
Great, great. I'm going to turn it over to Northeast so that they can give us an update.
Sure, just to kind of update from the meeting last week, Selectmen selected Sundurance as the lead candidate, and they've been so notified. The other two were notified also that they, didn't get selected, but to stand by that if the town was not able to negotiate a lease agreement with Sundurance, then it would go to the next, and then to the next. So we've got 3 qualified bidders, two in standing by position. So since then, we've been working through, email and phone calls with town council. As we discussed last week, the town will need to approve the lease either at the special town meeting coming up on the 24th or at the regular town meeting, I believe that's 1 May. Something
Annual
like
town meeting?
the annual
First
town
or May
meeting.
3rd, early May.
Do we have an article on here?
It's May 2nd.
Yeah, one.
We did, okay. So we have a
It's Article
placeholder for it?
16, yep.
Right, so I think there's a placeholder for the February 24th meeting. The discussions with the town council is that they have requested to meet with Sundurance next week in their offices in Quincy. One of the issues that town council is looking for is to the exact location and size of the solar field, which is a little difficult to nail down right now because they will plan to build up to 3 megawatts, but they need to, solidify additional off-takers to buy the power. So we looked at that plan last week, that the majority, if not all, of the system up to 3 megs would be built on the north side of the lot, depending upon the conservation easement that potentially would be part of the north side.
Sure, so just so you know, at this stage of the game, that's something that will be down the road. If we were going to adjust that, and we'll adjust it, not on top of whatever is going on. So you have that, as it sits right now, you have the original size
Got it.
of that north side piece, past the power lines.
Okay.
There'll be no adjustment on that at this point.
Gotcha.
So you have
we
all
will
the- all the
let,
space you need.
We'll let Sundurance know that, and certainly Phase 1, which they were talking about building 1.9 megawatts of AC power, would be totally on the north side, and then...
Just so
they go-
we're on the same page, I'm sorry, what is that you have there?
Yeah, this is the same plan that we looked at
Just blown
last
up?
week,
I just want to see it,
large scale.
if I could.
Makes it a little easier.
Yeah. Because the conservation restriction is there, but I want to just, oh, yeah, but that's correct. That is how the conservation restriction will be at this moment. So this is the conservation restriction here.
So it's really
This-
outside of the 32 acres.
Oh, it is, but this is it right here. That's
Got
the
it.
conservation restriction. So
Gotcha.
that's the available piece, as you
Right.
would agree with that.
Yeah, this is what was sent to me today, and it's the other way. This is
Correct.
Route 16.
Right,
Who
so
sent
that-
that?
And Brian,
and that's the overlay.
Where's the power line?
Here it comes, power lines are
That's
coming
opposite,
right
though.
through here.
yeah, yeah. And
No,
and that's what
there's-
he said to
there's
me,
Route
is that
16.
that they had sent this out.
That's the original picture from the.
That's old. This is the new one. See, this is Route 16 here. This is the front piece.
They
Power
thought it was in
lines.
the front, they're
It's in
moving
the
it to the
back.
back.
Okay, yeah, that was the point. He just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that it was, would
This
be
is the back.
communicated with me. Great.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, and this includes what, 3 megawatt?
This is actually showing 1.5. Sundurance would look to build 1.9 in the
that's
back
roughly
with
two.
Phase 1, and then Phase 2, which would get them up to 3 megawatts, they need the additional off-takers.
Okay,
But-
but where would the additional
From
3
here?
go?
I'm not sure if the full size, if they go right to this dotted line,
Will fit?
they might be able to get 3 megawatts
Because
up
I
here.
would love, I personally would like to see all 3 megawatts,
Right.
if possible,
Right.
stay in that back half.
Right, and,
That'd be the expectation, because if
Yeah.
we had the front parcel for commercial, right, and the same.
We do have some ideas out here
Yep.
already. Okay, good, good. All right, thank you.
so we'll convey that specifically to Sundurance to maximize this, and they can use higher density panels to get the maximum,
However they
push
wanna
up the
do it.
megawatts.
Keep it in the back.
Right.
That's important.
Can you actually add on?
But you want,
I mean,
you'd
Ken,
like
would
to
you
get the 3
agree?
megawatts of revenue.
Keep it in the back.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh,
I would much
great.
rather have that.
Right, right.
But, yeah, again, I think that there'll be some give and take if we have to, so.
Correct.
Can you add another panel? Or does that kind of get
Well, then it
crazy
gets into the shadow, see.
of the other one? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you, I'm with you.
Right.
Okay, thanks. That actually works perfectly.
Before we, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to ask a question. The way that town council gave us the draft, because when they were working with Sundurance, they wanted the option of adding another 9 acres?
Well, it's a total of 15 acres, so, again, until we have the Sundurance layout on the back, I believe it's all gonna fit on the back. But, they have offsets from the
But we need
prop.
to shore that up, and when you go,
Right, yep,
go to
right.
the floor, we're gonna want a
Right.
picture of where it's going.
Absolutely.
So people can see it, right?
Yeah.
And
that will-
ultimately,
absolutely.
the contract that we're about to negotiate is going to include all this. So,
Right, I believe that they'll have a plan now that they understand the Conservation Commission prior to meeting with town council next week.
okay, great. That's what we, okay, perfect.
So I think the other topic we wanted to talk to, and I think why we asked Kurt to join us, was for us to get a better understanding of some of the information you understand about the net metering agreement, and some of the reasons why you kind of went one direction versus the other. I think that was sort of try to give our FinCom rep an understanding of where we're going, because we just want to kind of understand that, because, I mean, we're looking into being an additional off-taker as well, I think.
Can I ask a question? As the owner of the land, the town, hiring a real estate firm, consultants to help get rid of it or do something with it, what's our involvement in the winning bidder and a power purchase agreement with someone else?
We have no involvement in that, except that we're considering signing becoming an off-taker. So I just want to understand the financials that BVT looked at to say why, because it's literally, we're looking at the same document that Kurt reviewed, so it's more informational to us.
You're looking at entering into a PPA with
Yes.
Sundance?
Well,
With Sundurance,
something like that. We might say, yeah, we're willing to look at negotiating
a power purchase
power
agreement.
purchase
Right.
Okay.
on top of sort of the revenue stream that we're
Okay.
considering.
Well, from our perspective, we've been approached by a couple of other companies at this point because we are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.6 to 3. And when Duncan came along and said that they were in the process of negotiating with the town of Mendon to develop land, it really kind of hit the same requirements for a 3 megawatt facility, us taking, or at least committing to around that 2.6 mark. We wanted to be very careful not to overestimate. I'm still not sure of some of the finer points there, but we felt like that would be conservative enough for us. Currently, we bid out our supply, and then we're, with delivery for National Grid.
Yep.
And currently, we're at about .0881 per kWh, and then we're averaging between, 4.7 and 5.1 on the delivery side. My understanding of the agreement at this point is that the all-in rate, which has just been negotiated up to about .1667?
Right, so,
1670.
right,
That's what we would get a net metering credit for any power that was supplied directly from the grid in. And then we would be negotiating a 22.5% decrease off of that to pay the solar farm directly. So we would get savings on the variance there. And then, of course, the more I can negotiate my supply down to an even lower rate that's below what National Grid's all-in rate, or their supply portion is, then the better off the district is. And I'm kind of estimating somewhere around maybe 0.3 of a penny right now, which is translating to about $71,000 a year for us, and that's pretty substantial. Clearly, we are focused on green energy initiatives, so we felt like it would be a very good social policy for the district, and it would be good financially as well. So we are concerned about a 25-year lease, but understanding the way this would be negotiated, which is a percentage, flat percentage off an all-in rate, there's also a floor of, I think, 9.5 cents, which when we looked historically, it just has not hit that in, was it 2010? maybe,
2004.
okay, then it was 10 years, in at least 10 years. And there was just no reason to anticipate that it would ever go below that anyway. We've stopped and looked at all of our risk factors, what the price of natural gas, because that's a huge component in development of energy right now. We understand that there is a pipe flow constriction coming up through the Northeast.
Yep.
That's putting pressure on the pricing because of the demand being pushed up. So we stopped and looked at that. At every turn, I've worked with my energy broker, and he's, from every perspective he can consider as an outside person to this as well, he said that there's just no reason to believe that that is going to bottom out and be putting the district at risk in terms of its rate. If we do fall below the floor, it eats into that 22.5% decrease. So we would still have that buffer zone to get us to a net zero.
Right.
So we just feel over the long term, it's beneficial for the district. I hope that kind of gives you our perspective.
Absolutely.
So, short answer, good idea.
No, I think Northeastern met probably 4 times.
Yes.
And then Kurt's done all kinds of homework and due diligence with his power aggregator, which is World Energy, to kind of look at the numbers and the formulas. So I think, Kurt wouldn't have signed the agreement for Blackstone Valley Tech unless he was comfortable. So I think, and again, I think kudos to Kurt and Blackstone Valley Tech for being involved, because really that was one of the key issues that helped get us the amount of quality companies to bid the project, because they knew they had an off-taker.
Sure.
For at least 2.6, so.
And as we looked forward to, I think 2016 around December, they're planning a pipeline expansion up this way. So I was able to kind of jump onto another rate that's off my .0887 and get it down to .081. And I negotiated through December 2016 as my current rate ends in May 2015. And at that time, we're going to take a look at the rates and see just what's happening. I didn't want to go too long-term.
Right.
But, because it's a risky play, you can wind up on the wrong side of a rate variance if you go too far out, not understanding what the market conditions are driving. So I work very closely with a broker to go out to bid and try to see what's happening from a long-term perspective, but also considering any things that might be happening in the marketplace that might have an adverse impact on that, so.
Okay. So in terms of the 1.9, so basically BVT pretty much has taken phase 1, if that goes ahead,
That's correct.
and then some,
Yes.
if it's available.
Yes, but, again, if you're building 3 megawatts of AC power, that could have pushed up all the way to 3.5 of DC. So the 2.7, I know it's confusing. But so again, the combination of Blackstone Valley and the town of Mendon would be 3 megawatts, and that's what we're trying to
You can
max
kind
out
of
at.
dumb it down for me then. The phase 1 is 1.9 of something. And then, let's put it this way, we always looked at BVT being 2.6, we were about 0.4.
Correct.
Rounding out to the 3
Right.
together. So if we were to say, sign this and agree to go ahead with this tonight, what does that mean in terms of the lease and the execution for Sundance?
Well, again, at this point, where we've now pushed ahead and now have a company that's been selected,
Yep.
it's almost mute that you don't need to sign this with Northeast. You could deal directly with Sundance, or you could sign this. There's no additional revenue in it for Northeast,
right.
because we're motivated to get the, main project done, and we're compensated from Sundance on
I just
whatever
like
they
the
build.
20+% flat discount rate. That intrigues me. So if it's something like that were still available, then I don't care who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, it will be available, and again, I think between the 2 off-takers, Sundance is looking to do this in 2 phases, to be able to build it quicker and get into the ground this, calendar year.
As long
The
as we get
second
3
phase-
megs in the back.
Yeah, as long as it's in the back.
Keep it in the
But
back.
we want to make sure the town gets their 3 megawatts total, so.
I think the point's been made.
Yes,
No, yeah, I mean, as best we can.
If Northeast is gonna be paid 2.5% from Sundurance,
correct.
is Northeast gonna be paid anything from BBT?
No,
Nothing off that contract? Nothing extra from
No.
Sundurance?
no,
Straight 2.5% of the total construction?
correct.
Okay.
I mean, it was a combination of, as we got into the contract, and other towns have usually bought the power, and they have a bigger demand for power. Where we just didn't have it here, and we talked with a number of companies early on, basically 13, 14 months ago, and they said, oh, no, we'd be interested in, just renting it, we'll go find our own off-takers. And as we went through it, that was just definitely not the case. They wanted the off-taker as part of this. So we reached out to other government agencies, in this case Blackstone Valley Tech, and Kurt stepped up, and then you guys are right there with your 400 kilowatts, so that gets us to 3 megawatts.
And we were really concerned, we've been approached with deals starting at 9.5 cents with a 3% annual escalator, and I did the math, and boy, it's nice in the beginning years for quite a few. But once I'm gone, some business manager is going to get stuck with a flip-flop rate, and at least from their perspective, they were negotiating, they had two options, and one was with a fixed price and a 1% escalator, or this, fixed discount. And I think just in the best interest of a known factor, it was best to go with that lump sum discount off the all-in rate for National Grid. I just felt more comfortable than just having a flat escalator, because I don't know what's going to happen that far into the future.
Nobody does.
So there's significantly less risk with the flat discount.
So now, we're left with two agreements that have to be drawn up.
What are you talking about?
One is your lease price, and then at least two. And then the second one is the big guy in the room that never goes away, taxes.
Well, that's all part of the agreement. Like I said,
Anything you do with taxes should be a separate agreement.
when we discussed it, well, again, it depends on if anything's done with the taxes. So what we can do, okay, as we discussed the last time, so if we do a pilot, then it's just it's on a weighted scale. So they've got what they need to make money, right?
Oh, I clearly got it. Do you understand?
So, yeah, a pilot agreement would be probably a separate agreement aside from the actual contract, I would agree. But again, whatever's in that money-wise, it's just an offset.
Clearly, I got it.
Yeah. But I would agree with you.
But the pilot has to go to town meeting for approval, and after that, it has to go to DOR. Making sure, that's why they sent me here today.
Gotcha, yeah.
Okay.
I'm with
So
you.
if the town decided to take all of the money as rent,
We don't think they can do that.
What, and do a pilot?
No. If you were to take all the money as a rent, all in price,
Yeah,
we don't believe that can be done. It
okay.
has to be broken out. DOR has to see the total breakout of where everything is before they would agree to anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it just,
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, and we might be saying the same thing here, whereas,
it's
okay,
gonna cost them $200,000 to pay the town each year. They don't care where it goes, and we don't necessarily care where it goes. It's just $200,000 that we get to plug into our budget.
right, and, okay, so, yeah, and 150, say, just to use easy numbers, 100,000 of it's taxes, and 100,000 of it is money
Right.
from,
Right.
right, okay, right, as long as it's just laid out there, we can still just, if you want to send us a check, we'd rather just process one check.
Clearly got it.
All right.
But just so, to.
We will lay this out, I'm
Have-
sure that,
have two
right,
separate.
and I would hope that
So-
our legal staff was
So we need to
confident
make sure,
enough
Brian, we're expecting two documents, and we gotta allocate the 35 per,
Well, unless you make the decision to to have the tax be zero and the whole thing's rent.
Right.
Certainly, you can make that decision.
No.
Sure you can, why not? Sure, it happens all
DOR
the
won't
time.
approve it.
I don't believe that. I don't see how that's possible.
All right, I spent all day on this issue, okay.
People encourage business all the time.
Well,
Why
okay,
give them
but-
10 years of free?
Right, but I'm not saying that, okay, but
That's a
right,
TIF, not a
right,
pilot.
right. Whatever, I'm going to assume that our legal staff is competent enough to draw up the proper documents to get this thing to work.
Sure.
Right, but I think you have to write that email to town council so that they,
It seems like there's an opinion from the assessor's office that we
Right.
cannot go without
so just,
a pilot agreement that breaks, and we can provide the allocation of at least.
Taking it further, by the way,
Yeah.
your town council is not in favor of a pilot. They
Okay.
want to see real estate taxes. It is not personal property, it's real estate. But the town's assessor's consultant said that it would be just so much simpler if we went with a pilot. The pilot is to value out the same as the taxes. Okay, look, let's.
Agreed,
Let's think.
payment in lieu of taxes.
Nope, no, allow me.
Yeah, yeah.
If the taxes is going to be that same value of whatever that is over there, is someplace else as something else, i.e. a car dealership. If the values are the same when it's built, the taxes need to be the same, except you can put it into a pilot. And the function on that is so that the owner of the solar farm knows for his financing, they do the 20-year projection, that they know exactly what the taxes are gonna be. So in other words, you don't necessarily have to give them a discount on the taxes, which pilots usually do, and even TIFs do, but you just need to spell it out on a 20-year document, a document that has 20 lines on it, that says this is what the taxes are gonna be. X amount of dollars every year for 20 years. Payable, by the way, in 4 equal payments the day that everybody else's taxes are done, not once a year. And I would think that the lease payments would be monthly. Just thought I'd throw that out.
So, okay. I mean, we went down this path, and it seems though the assessor's office suggests it's really the selectmen's call if we want to go with a pilot or not, or taxes.
Well, it is, by the way.
Right, so we're going with pilots. I guess what I probably need, the assessor's office needs to provide us is what they feel the taxes should be on that
We
property.
have no idea what they're gonna build.
Hold on, so,
You have no idea
but
what,
but when did we decide to go with the pilot?
What's the question?
I haven't even seen anything from Sun, sorry?
yeah, Sundurance position is, they're doing 35,000 a year with the escalator. And it can all go for rent, it can all go for the pilot, it can be split up.
Oh, go,
That's-
sure. May I
But so-
also throw in here on the top of that, because it's the same line, 35,000 per megawatt, but that's a negotiable number. You can get some more out of it if you try.
I think that everything's negotiable. I think
We
that,
have 3
I
qualified
just want to get
bidders.
back to brass tacks and just say, listen, somebody's telling me we got to give them a tax, an amount for taxes. Who would that be? What body would tell us what the tax rate?
No,
what tax-
you set the tax rate. You want to know the value of it?
The value.
That's the assessors.
Okay.
What is the assessor?
What is the assessor's value of that land?
Oh, I don't know the value of the land.
Okay, what's,
The real estate is on what's built there.
right,
The real taxes are on what's built there.
Okay,
Nothing's
so-
built there, I can't give you a number.
But can
Okay.
you base it on that drawing with the
and so,
way?
and it's a solar farm, we
yeah, it's
kinda-
not, it's not like it's an
not a mystery.
unknown size of building.
Yeah, it is, because it's the first one in town. We've never done it. Just
Right,
like
but
we've
if you
never
need
dealt
to-
with it, we've never dealt with it.
Yeah, okay, all right, but we can get,
Oh,
they're built out,
eventually it's done.
I drove by 2 yesterday, I'm sure we can find out what the cost.
How would you
Get an
negotiate a
appraisal.
lease if we can't give them an estimate of what the taxes are gonna be? If we have to do that, right? We can't waive them.
Well, I don't know, I,
Again, approximately 8 months ago, we came in and had a bunch of information on pilots. I think there was 14 or 15 pilots. And the thought was if we could lock in a rate on the pilot, then there's potentially more money to go for the rent. But, between town council really said, no, I don't want to do that. We want to have them bid it. So now we have 3 qualified bidders. Those bids are that's the money. Now what we have to do is
Okay, that just means
negotiate.
that they don't have to accept it. I'm just being,
Oh,
I'm
no,
just
they
the
don't-
assessor here, I'm nobody else.
No, I mean, we've got three
Here's
qualified.
a payment in lieu of taxes agreement from the town of Marshfield. They recently cut a ribbon on a
4-megawatt system.
megawatt system, 3.99, on private land. That's the difference that I'm finding out, folks. It's private land. You got two issues here. You have public land for the lease, rent payment, and then you have the pilot. That's why they're distinctly different.
What's the difference on a pilot between public land and private land?
Well, there's a pilot right there for private land.
Okay?
That's only for the taxes on the equipment installed.
Because it's,
Now, wait,
because it's,
wait, wait, wait,
because
hold
it's
on.
private land.
No. Okay, what we don't see
Yeah.
is the lease agreement on the land. That's why it's two separate agreements.
Yeah, in this case it is. Because because it's, okay, because the pilot is with the town, the lease agreement is with the private owner.
If you go through and put it all together as one, just make sure it's spelled out so that everybody can see that.
I would agree.
Yeah, you've got to spell it out.
I
Do not
but,
promise it.
I can't, I'm just confused, I don't know.
I'm confused now, 'cause all of
Yeah,
a sudden we're doing one agreement again, which I thought this conversation started that we can't do
No.
one.
I believe you can, but if everyone's sitting around the table and says you can, then. you
I'm
can.
not saying we can or we can't, it's up to, you know something? The town council will get this right, I have all the confidence in the world in them that they will get this right. Whether or not it has to be in 1, or 2, or 3, or 6, I think we just wasted 20 minutes on a point that I would assume that our council will get right. I mean, come on, let's just move on to the next thing, please. I appreciate the input, but I feel like we just went around in a circle to come down to something that, I don't know, I see, what were we trying to get a point here? I'm very confused right now. I feel like that,
Your agreements, your pilot, that's the sticking point was the pilot.
but what's the sticking point?
Have it separate.
Okay,
That's all I'm saying.
okay.
It didn't take a few minutes to get there.
So the town could put any value it wanted on the pilot.
Correct.
Could put
Well,
$10,000.
I think we need
Well,
confirmation,
I'm
because
sorry,
we heard
I
that
think
come up,
we need to
too.
get a number for the assessors. We need to know a number.
Okay.
If we're going to do a pilot, right? I don't know that I'm for or against a pilot. I don't understand, I get what
Your
they're.
personal option after that.
See, my personal option is, look, okay, that's what you're gonna pay us for that, here's a tax bill for what you're doing. That's my opinion. I just,
Throw it in one.
what's that? No,
You saying just throw it into one?
no.
No, he's saying.
No, saying
take the-
that don't do a
tax 'em,
pilot,
Tax them.
The regular tax
just
bill.
pay the tax bill.
Okay,
But that's my
Yeah,
opinion.
and it, just from an accounting standpoint on their side, for the developer,
Mm-hmm.
I really would, from an accounting standpoint, that just makes life so much easier for their side and also for the finance.
Again, we're not the developer, but,
I got it, but I'm pointing to you because you.
right, we look like the developer.
Yeah.
You smell like a
But also-
developer.
But also for the finance committee, because the finance committee actually knows
I mean,
the rate going forward.
another quick question, if,
And they gotta know that.
if we only have to, we call it, and, excuse me, so we would call it a pilot if we were to negotiate it out that over
Look like that.
25 years, this is, that you have no cap on your, I think that this is a pretty good accounting method too. I mean, it
That's
spells it right
pilot.
out. I understand. And so what I'm saying is, if we do it this way, that's why we call it a pilot, because we're gonna say, you won't go up or down regardless of what happens in
Point of
town.
it.
Right.
That's it, so.
So that's-
Why do
that's-
they call it a payment in lieu of taxes?
That way they don't get the tax bill.
Oh, okay, all right, I see what you're saying. That's the only
Taxes will
difference.
fluctuate.
That's,
Now,
okay.
not to confuse it.
That's just
TIF.
a fixed cost.
A TIF is, I know what TIF is.
Discount.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's just, that's an abatement.
That's right.
Yeah,
There's no abatement in here.
I understand, I agree, I see the difference between the two. And again, yeah, I'm back less confused right now.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you.
Good. Good, I'm glad I could help.
I'm confused. 'Cause I'm not sure what we
Oh,
just
my God.
talked about.
Well, I gotta tell you right now, I am too.
I don't know what we just talked about,
Let me see
because
what- okay.
bottom line is, seems like
I don't
we have
think that
the
this is the proper forum to make a decision on whether we're gonna do a pilot or just a straight tax.
No, I just don't know if there are any issues to worry about, or we're just kick it off to Brian and say, Brian, deal with it.
Well, because in our proposal, he's saying we placed all of the payments in the lease value. We mentioned that if the town wanted to break the 35,000 per megawatt lease into a lease and
Yeah.
pilot payments, we could do that. Please clarify what personal or property taxes you're referring, so they are looking for direction from you.
So, okay, before we can give them a number to put in there, if we're going to do a pilot, we need to be able to assess, come up with some sort of, what the structures would be assessed at when they're built on that property. Which I think, based upon what we have there, we can look at, okay, what's the going construction, what does one panel look like if you were to build it, and what would you assess that at, right? So now we know we're gonna have 3,000 panels, times whatever that cost is, gives us a number to at least start with.
That work's gonna have to get done at some point anyway.
Well, actually, there's a, okay, but
But
also,
to go negotiate the
there's another-
pilot correctly ahead of time, we need to know that number.
Well, there's
Right.
another one.
They'll be able to give you that information.
Actually, I think that there's a better
Construction
way, and that's
costs.
to use the income method. Income approach,
What's that?
based on how much money they're gonna make.
Is that how the other towns have done it?
They all do it different, but they've done it.
Yeah.
But it can be cost in assessing commercial property, that's one of the standard methods that we use. It's income approach. So, but the assessors as a group are saying, oh, we don't know what to do, they're pointing fingers up here saying, you guys have to tell them what to do.
Okay, we'll get back to you, we'll get you an answer. Now that we know that you're looking for some information, let's make a decision on whether or not we're gonna go a pilot. Let's see, I suppose I need some,
I'm just like, why weren't we asked for this information from the assessor's office when we talked to him about pilots? You know, I mean, we talked about this 8 months ago.
that's fine, I mean, I guess, good question, but regardless.
Because in the town of Mendon, we're on the
No.
drip feed approach on everything.
No,
Easy,
no,
easy.
no,
All
no.
right, enough.
Wait a minute, if I was at one of those meetings, no.
Okay, so what we need to do is, if we can get, I would imagine, I don't know who gets me this information.
I think Sundurance, again, they're the successful company that was selected.
Yep,
They really need to speak to this issue themselves directly
yep.
with the town.
I think I'd like to discuss it with them, whether or not it's in
Right.
that meeting in Boston. I don't even know, maybe I might want to go to Boston for that meeting.
And they're currently offering 10,000 with a 2% escalator each year.
35,000.
No, on the taxes that your
They're offering,
associate produced last week or the week before.
he broke that out just to
Yeah.
show what a number could be. That wasn't Sundurance's number. Sundurance's
Oh, that
number
was
is.
not Sundurance's.
Sun
He was
numbers-
given an example
Sundurance's number
on
is
that.
35 all in.
He did that to put it in line with.
35 all in.
Yeah, either rent, or you could break it out to lease and pilot. It's whatever you want to do. What we were trying,
Our appraiser consultant would to tell you that you're leaving too much money on the table.
And we're hiding, why? I think they can't hear you when you whisper like that. All right.
No, I just thought I would direct it to you specifically.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, yes and no. So the point is that our
our
assessor,
fiduciary responsibilities is to the town of Mendon.
mine too,
Our contract is with the town of Mendon.
mine too.
So
Okay, our appraiser consultant.
Who's that?
Paul, Kapinos. Would you like his phone number?
I mean, these numbers are actually, early on, this 35,000 is actually exceeds anything we've heard prior to this in the whole process. You realize that, right?
No, I
Because
don't.
those numbers have been out there.
I haven't been involved in it.
But you've
I
been
don't-
at these meetings.
Never discussing amounts.
Yeah, okay.
I've been to very few meetings.
So Paul, what's Paul's last name?
Kapinos. And from today's discussion, he asked me, and I told him it was 35,000 per megawatt, and with a 2% escalator, and 10,000.
But it's not 35,000 per megawatt, is it? It's 35,000.
It's 35,000 total. When Sundance,
up to 2 megawatts.
It was based on two.
Is that the document that he, can I see that? No, that
I'll give you
one
the document that,
he presented?
this is our northeast summation of a 2-megawatt system was to be built, just so we could get it to be
Okay, but
apples
flip
and
the
apples.
page. I think the answer's on the subsequent page. Yeah, those things right there. No, the one underneath, this one.
So we should,
The spreadsheet.
we should have a
Yeah.
discussion with Brian directly on this, make sure we're all on the same page.
So, hold on.
Yeah, let me just make sure I'm not,
So what it was 30, whatever the numbers were last week was based on 2 megawatt. And then the third megawatt would be additional funding that was not in that 35.
That's correct.
Correct. So that's based on 2 megawatt. So if you want to, and all in, the way I understood it.
right here in the yellow section,
Yeah?
it says,
These are the
I
assumptions.
rest my case, he's right, I'm wrong.
Okay.
How's that?
Perfect.
I rest my case, you're right, I'm wrong.
So it was 35,000 for 2 megawatt. If we get the third megawatt, we will have additional, it's gonna be more money.
That's correct, it'd be 50% higher.
Okay,
Well-
so,
Yeah.
If we were assuming 2 megawatts, we get a third megawatt, it's gonna be 50%?
Percent high, yeah.
Okay.
You get 100,000 for two, you get 150 for three, right? You were.
Yeah.
I just want to be very clear on the terms we use while we're broadcasting, so there's no, confusion in the future.
Well, you know what's funny? Until just now, I thought the word pilot meant, like in our business, pilot means you go try something for a while. Right? I'm saying 25-year-long pilot. I didn't realize till just now that's what that meant. Thank you, Ken.
So we just have to decide how we'd like to break the money up, the legal way, whether it be a pilot, or make sure that however we do it is spelled out, so that everybody understands it, and I think we'll be good moving forward, so.
Here's a copy of the power purchase agreement that the town of Marshfield signed for their megawatts. That's their power purchase agreement, and don't forget the
I
other.
think-
With a pilot in the back?
Just real quick, I just want to make sure, getting back to the point of leaving money on the table, what I would like is I would like a firm understanding of what that gap is. I don't want to just have words. If somebody's going to say, you're leaving money on the table, I want an assessment. I don't know how much money that person thinks we're leaving on the table, because I want the voters to make an informed decision.
I agree with you.
Okay, so that person,
Wholeheartedly agree with you.
they're going to have it pulled together. Because right now,
Just look at that one right over there, get 50.
no, I want something from the assessor consultant, or what, that role. If they're saying they're leaving money on the table, I want to know how much, and it wouldn't be based on a random thing in Marshfield, which is a completely different situation than what we have.
This one is, what is it, 5 megawatt, you said?
3.9.
Yeah, 3.99.
Well, it says 5, it starts at 5. 5050.
Yeah, no, I believe it's 3.99.
Well, it ends at 4.5, so I don't know where we are.
That's a
Is that what-
depreciation table, if I recall.
And it's about output, so that must be the depreciation of the equipment over time.
No, that's the reduction of the ability of the equipment to produce X amount of kilowatts.
Correct, that's what I just
It
said.
diminishes over time, because just like we diminish with our.
That's what I just said. Estimated annual
Thank you very much, our efficiency diminishes.
Estimated annual output starts at 5 megawatts. It ends at 4.6 megawatts over 20 years. But what are they saying? They're gonna buy 4 megawatts? Is that what the contract is?
Again, that's a separate project. but-
Yeah, there's 30 pages in there.
A lot of it's definition.
Yeah, well, buy the cookie cutter stuff and into the beef. I only got that late this afternoon. Okay, done.
This is the sum.
A lot of words,
There's words in here.
a lot of language. Yeah, I mean, we're sort of going down, I think, a path I didn't expect would go down on this topic, so if, Kurt, I mean, I don't know,
More confusing.
in sort of the net metering
Sorry,
piece,
yeah, if, by all means, I think if you wanna go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much for
I
coming in.
appreciate the information,
need to
very
see it.
helpful. Thank you.
You answered our questions 100%.
I enjoyed it, thank you.
Okay.
I was gonna suggest that when I talk to bond counsel, town council might
Yeah.
not need to review that
Okay.
aspect of it.
Might not need to.
Because up to you guys.
It was their way of handling the money
I just haven't reviewed everything.
and left it up to the town to say, however you want to split it, we can split it.
Okay.
Am I understanding correctly that BBT was here not just to...
To explain the net-
But we would be actually aggregating our buying power with it, with BBT? Is that what I
They've
understood?
already signed a contract. We were discussing signing a contract.
You
We
wanted
want
to
to know
get-
what they felt about it.
Okay, so they were advising us purely?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Couldn't quite figure out whether...
But the thing is, we go down that path too, we got a 120-day notice to Constellation that we're gonna go down that path too. So we want to consider the implications of giving them a 120-day notice and what that means to.
Town
Every-
council is aware of that, they said
Yep.
that cover it.
And that would be 120 days prior to live date,
Expiration.
right, which could be as early as August, depending on what happens.
So there's a price here, the electricity price. This is what it's, for each billing cycle in which electricity is delivered to the delivery point, the price per kilowatt of electricity price shall be 10 cents. What is that? Do you know? Is that me buying, or is that them delivering?
Then buying.
That's the town buying the power.
That's the town buying at 10.
And what they've gone to is a fixed price, starting at 10 cents, and then there's an escalator on that. So what Kurt was saying, you have two lines, and you're starting at 10 cents, but the potential, the
Okay,
cost-
but, okay, and I understand that. I think, my question is, I'm just trying to find in here, like, I haven't gotten to the section yet that says,
you're not gonna find a 22% discount or 20% discount.
no, that's not what I'm looking for.
on
I
that.
want to look at what, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to
What are
interrupt.
they paying?
I want to, like, we're talking about $35,000, the all-in price. I'd just like to know what Marshfield,
That's gonna be on the lease.
Yeah, that's
This
not
is-
that.
That's not
It's in other
the,
agreement.
that's just
What
the,
agreement?
That's their PPA.
that's
Oh, okay.
right,
So you want the other agreement, that is their
lease.
pilot. So there's no
Pilot.
lease.
but
This is
this,
the
but I don't have, who is?
Last page.
Marshfield?
last page
Of
of
this
the
guy.
Marshfield document.
You told me that this one was a personal,
No. This is a payment in lieu of taxes, so they will not get a tax bill. It is built on private property, different than what.
oh, okay.
So
So this is in Marshfield, this is Marshfield's PPA.
Yeah.
Marshfield, but this is the town's PPA, and this is their payment.
We're not going to see that because it's on private property.
No, you
No,
are going to see
it.
this.
It's the schedule you saw on the last page.
This is
I know,
schedule
but that's
you saw on
just the
last
tax
page.
bill. That's the tax pilot.
Yeah,
I understand that.
okay, what are you looking for?
On that project there, Marshfield is.
I was wondering
You're
what,
looking
what.
for a lease?
Yeah,
Oh, they don't have one.
they don't because it's on a private piece of
Private
property.
property?
So, I mean, okay, I'll agree with you that the pilot price here is higher than what we're saying, but, okay, what's the acreage? How many panels do they have? How did they base this price?
I have that answer here somewhere.
And is it, I mean, are we doing it in a condensed? Are we doing it in, so we have less acreage, right? What's the acreage up there?
It's gonna be someplace between 12 and 15
Okay,
acres.
so close to the same in acreage.
Because it's again, that's a 4-megawatt system.
And what's the,
And
what's
we're
the
planning on
tax
a 3
rate in
megawatt
Marshfield? Is it way higher than we are here?
No, actually lower.
Then, what did they value it at then? Again, that's another thing, what did they value it at? I mean, because we,
$9,384,000. I tell you what, I also want to give you these two documents that they also sent me, that their assessors used to compile those values. You have to go through them. I'll actually send it to you electronically too.
Can you send it to me
Okay.
so I have it for the record?
I'll send it to all four of you. Would you like it, Rich?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'll
If
send
you get
it
it electronically, I'd love it, yeah.
Yeah.
And we know the builder on that, so we can try to find out what the rent was on the lease.
On
From
the
the
Marshfield thing?
Yeah, we know the owner of that, it's Mary O'Donnell. She's a
Yes,
developer.
at Kingston.
Yeah,
it's a lot to digest there, there's a lot of. Okay, all right, cool, thank you. Let's just make sure we get our due diligence done on that.
Okay, I'll ask the questions. What's the, it's 1.9?
They're proposing 1.9 as a phase one, and then 1.1 as a phase two.
1.1, phase 2.
Right. So for a total of 3 megawatts, which is what the town was looking for.
Are they both going to be built within the same calendar year?
Don't know, I don't know.
Calendar
Probably
year
not.
or fiscal
No,
year?
calendar year. I'll just go with calendar, that way it didn't confuse
I don't
on
know.
fiscal.
I don't know.
No, we understand fiscal. It's probably going to be built in the same fiscal year.
Okay, then I'll rephrase it. It'll be built in a contiguous 12-month timeframe?
Again, I'm not the developer, but I think that's their plan.
But yeah, what, phase one and phase two? I mean, right now, we're negotiating phase one. Phase two is based upon a certain amount of criteria that would be additional.
Would you just add to it, or you could come up with a whole new agreement?
No, I would say we keep the same agreement with
Yeah, and they're gonna,
escalated.
they've agreed to keep the same price for phase two. And as long as they know they have a buyer, they plan to build phase two. I think they will master plan the 3 megawatts, right now.
Right, that's what I would want to see, the end result
Right.
of 3 megawatts, right? And that's what we're asking. But as far as the financing goes, we're committed to 2, okay, just round numbers, we're committed to 2. So that's what's in that 35,000 is 2 megawatts. Agree?
They're committing at 35,000, all-in number, both taxes and pilot.
Yeah, for the 2 megawatt, right?
They're talking about 1.9 megs in a phase one and 1.1 megs in a phase two.
Agreed, I was just trying to use round
The
numbers.
2 megawatt was our example, just to put it together so we were apples to apples on how to compare the 3 bids, because they were apples and oranges. Some bid pilots, some didn't. bid
So it's
the-
35,000 all in with 3 megawatts.
No, what was on the spreadsheet.
Is 2.
At it was 2.
Okay,
And
good.
that could bump by 50%.
Okay,
when
I
they
agree.
build the
That's,
third.
as long as I understand that.
Yes.
What you showed us of the 35,000 will increase if we go to 3 megawatt.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, based on that, I think that, quick math in my head, and of course, don't
Yeah.
take it to the bank. But I believe then that would bring the Marshfield rent or taxes to 13,000.
From 15?
Hearing all that, doing some quick math here, would bring it down to 13,000 per year at a pilot.
Okay. From 50, whatever?
Yeah, from the 51,828, if I was to extrapolate that out to from kilowatt, then take multiply this kilowatt, 1.9, 2 kilowatts, it'd be $13,000 for 1 megawatt. Because it's times a million, it comes out to be 13,000.
To support your position about the pilot, Blue Wave said that they would negotiate a pilot with the town, and that pilot would be in a range someplace between 9.5 and 14,000 per megawatt per year. So Blue Wave was potentially
What
going
was their value on the other?
to 20,000 per megawatt for the lease.
You see where it's going? Yeah.
So basically, the normalization you did to show us the comparison.
That was our intent.
Actually, it confused me a little bit.
Well,
because
that's
of
why
the-
we did the comparison, and that's
I get
why
it
we
now.
did the spreadsheet.
I get it now.
So if
Now-
you were to redo it, and you look at it again, would you change your opinion on who?
I have no opinion, to be honest with you. I still, there's a lot of pieces I don't know. The selectmen know this subject a lot better than I do at this point. I've only been involved the last 2 weeks.
The selectmen have multiple proposals,
Honest to God, my decision on the proposal, because I don't know one company from the other, I'm assuming that they are good companies, all 3 of them. I said, why would we not start with the highest amount of money we're gonna make over the 25
Yeah, okay,
years?
is it true that they did have the highest financial
yes.
Over
offer?
25 years, that's why we went with it. That was my choice anyway.
No, we wanted to
And then
maximize
if we
revenue.
don't cut a deal with them that's reasonable enough, then we go down to the next guy.
Okay, so I guess I would ask, financially reasonable enough, if there are only 2 areas of negotiation, one is the rent, and one is the pilot, There isn't any negotiations to be done because they've already established what they're gonna pay.
Well, that's a
Well, again,
negotiation, that's an
you might
offer.
say you like the other company because they use a different kind of panel, or it's a different, I mean, you could get into other subjective things besides
We
the
asked,
money.
no, this is just like anything else.
Right.
We've asked for
Bids.
a bid on a project.
Yeah.
That bid is now up for negotiation. Whether or not I would ask for $1 more or $1 less, I don't know. I feel that's what these companies do. I mean, if we're coming in and we're gonna look at it, I mean, if, I'll take this information back. If I look at it and say, well, you guys are this $50,000 that they're paying in lieu of taxes, they could be paying $10,000 in a month in the land lease. I don't know. I don't know. Well, you know what I mean? So, we don't know. We're missing
I agree with you.
we're missing a large piece because we don't know the lease. So this is a,
1/3 of the piece. You're missing a
but yeah, but
third leg.
1/3 is a big piece because we don't, it could be $1.
Well, I got it.
So that's what I'm saying is, so, I mean, I need an example
Can you
of,
find that out and let them know, pretty please?
and again, it's slightly a different item because it's a private piece. I would want to know what.
Okay, I'm
what
gonna check
other-
out to find out where there are other municipal ones and what they do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that,
No problem, I'll do that.
yeah, I think that we can find.
Either way, their RFP response is the starting point for your contract negotiation.
Correct.
Either way.
When we talked to 27 companies, including Mary O'Donnell, she did not want to bid this project.
What?
There wasn't, the PPAs, there wasn't enough PPAs to meet the 3 megawatts.
In the first go-around.
Blackstone Valley, no, we were,
In other words, the developer didn't have anybody out there selling the PPAs.
Thanks.
selling the
Well,
PPAs.
going out there creating the PPAs because as a developer puts one in, they go out and get people to buy the power.
Right, right.
So you're telling me is that they didn't have anybody on the hook ready to go for buying power?
That's right. And we went out and got Blackstone Valley and are attempting to get the town of Mendon to get the 3 megawatts. Well, with Blackstone Valley, 2.6, that was enough to get, 3 competitive bids. We talked to 27 companies.
Good.
That's not unusual.
Education.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll go find out some municipal lots.
If that, yeah, that would help.
That
would
way
help.
gives you. that-
It actually will, it's gonna help the assessor's office as well, so that they, I mean, if we're gonna look at pilots, we would wanna kind of have, there's a nice little summary at the bottom of this one.
Right, of what they did.
Yeah, that's actually the process they went through.
What is that?
Time is up.
Oh, sorry, I'm going off in the back.
Oh,
Brain box.
sorry, that's okay. Okay, all right, so I think we've got enough to move forward here, okay. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, are we gonna get back to this?
We've gone somewhere completely off topic. What do we want to do with this? You handed it to me. Do we want to just wait on this?
I mean, at this point, what I heard, I mean, we originally had that because it was part of the process to bring bidders on.
That's correct.
I think what we just were told earlier is when we
There's
finish.
no rush to do this right at the moment.
No, we can
because
do it
already
directly
have
with
the bids.
Endurance. I mean, I think my
Don't throw
preference
these
is to
away.
go with flat, well, it won't be with Northeast at this point, it's gonna be directly with the developer.
That's correct.
But I would probably, I lean more towards the flat discount, and I think, Rich, that's sort of something we're looking for someone to look at. Does that make sense? That's why we asked Kurt here to kind of give his take on what he looked at. That's all. But we don't need to sign it, so I'm gonna put this away.
That's correct.
Very nicely done, type for the, 6th meeting, we'll just kind of put that over there. Ignore it, it's done.
All right, anything else?
Just a little something.
Yes.
This is really after the fact. We have the issues with that. we have the
She's been
issues
waiting
with that.
patiently.
No, and it's really insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but the revenue that we get has to be handled certain ways because of the tax exempt bond.
Okay.
That we use money. So when we're planning on what we can use the money for, there will be some restrictions, but
On a pilot money?
no, on the revenue rent.
Oh.
They call it rent or.
Doesn't just go to local receipts?
And Mike just might have thought what I have been thinking. That might make a difference in how
We may
set
want a
things up.
pilot.
The whole thing?
No, you might not want to
Right,
pay,
right, we may want taxes.
you might want taxes and keep the,
Well, that's the point I think
keep
Ken was
the
making 10,
lease.
15 minutes ago.
Well, for a different reason, I mean, it's.
So, but
yeah,
Well, yeah, because now this is a whole separate issue that
totally separate.
Linda brings
totally
up that's very, very true.
Okay, so just
That
one big
bondholders
tax
out
bill?
there that bought your
Yeah.
tax-exempt bond.
Can we lease it for $1?
Not that, not
Again, I
that,
think he's indicating you could.
Yeah, I don't think that they
No.
care. They just want to cut a check, right?
not that it's a big deal, and that is important to know. That bond's
It's
gonna
a
get
big
paid
deal.
off, well, the bond's gonna get paid off in 2 years anyways.
Which one?
The bond on that commercial piece down at the
Oh.
bottom of the hill. Now, whether or not, because the Pheno land was sort of all together, I have to look into whether or not those regulations would extend to other bond payments for the rest of the Pheno property. All right, but bond council can be looking into that as well as town council. So just FYI, but it just occurred to me as we were talking, there might be some
that's a key piece of information.
some reasoning behind whether we go with the pilot or whether we go with taxes, and how much is gonna be lease and how much is gonna be something else.
Could you get us the drawbacks to it not being a tax bill? Like, where can we not use the money, or where can we use the money, whichever list is smaller?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's short term, though. I think the bigger thing is understanding whether or not, how long before any impacted bonds are paid off, right? So you're telling me that there isn't a single sort of bond out there for the whole all
No.
parcels?
No,
It was taken in
There you go.
3 different,
exactly, because you got the conservation
But
piece, you
the,
got the
but
top
the,
piece, and
but
this
the
piece.
timeline is chopped up too?
the timeline is
Oh, right.
2007, 2009,
Right,
It's
2000.
on that, coming to do with.
because
And oddly
the
enough, the fire
CPA
department is in
funds,
there also.
yeah, something to do with the CPA funds,
Yeah.
and we didn't bond right away, and then we bonded a piece, and then another piece, yeah, that messy.
But they were all
Okay.
they were all tax exempt, but I think at its most simplest, and I think this might be the way it shakes out, that will be a non-issue in 2 years anyways.
Okay, great, thank you.
You say the bond will be paid in 2 years on that piece?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, whether we take it away from one place, and then,
At the end of the
So-
day, if you have to take all the money and pay the bond payments with it, it's that much less that you have to come up with.
right, so it just comes out of, we just take that off of the
What's the
the
outstanding
debit side,
balance?
right?
As long
Which
as
would
that's the
pay-
only restriction.
Yeah, and it was, no, that one little piece was only like $155,000 or something.
I'm just
Pay the
saying, what if
bond
we
off
just pay it
first.
off? Yeah.
First payment, it's only $35,000.
Well, okay.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah, okay, but wait, a minute,
All right, listen, we are way off track here.
Well, can
We'll
someone just
decide what to do
summarize-
with the money later.
Can someone summarize what's happening now? Because I'm confused. In all seriousness, let's kind of rattle off next steps, if we could.
Next step, going to council to negotiate the contract.
To get a lease between Sundurance and the town of Mendon.
Correct.
And then again, the question's still on the table, as Bob has, town council has requested, what kind of split between.
Where's that meeting in Quincy?
Right now, it's targeted for next Tuesday, Wednesday.
What's that date?
Would be the 12th, 13th, I think.
So what do we,
Wednesday is 11 to 12.
what do we?
Oh, my God. I'm leaving next week. I can't go. Wow, that's next week. Thought there was another weekend
I
there.
mean, yeah, we were trying to get the lease started this week, but just got overcome by
The snow.
events, yeah.
That's okay, no, I'm only saying, I didn't realize my vacation was that quick. I thought I had a whole other week in there. I don't know where I stuffed that in it.
Could you send me a copy of that Marshfield PPA?
You can have this,
Okay.
because you can send it to me electronically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get it all electronically. Why don't we just send both these
Send
over,
everything to Diane.
and then we'll even get it to you electronically, but I don't like paper, so.
All
Thank you.
right, so I'm still confused, because the next step is no different than the next step when this conversation started. So what exactly has changed after all this talk? What do we need to do?
We need to get from them what that's gonna look like, so that we can get an appraisal, so, or find out a number that we can use for them to be able to assess it out, and look at the summary that's here, because I think that sums up what, is that Marshfield? what
Yeah.
Marshfield
Yeah, this
did.
is what Marshfield did.
That summary at the bottom is
That's how they come up
pretty
with
slick.
$52,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they had this was what the formula that they used.
So can we do the same formula to understand what the Marshfield model makes it look like for us?
Did you want to look at this?
You know what I mean?
So, right.
Like, I guess my point would be, one of the things was, we don't know what the taxes would be, but I read that, and that summary says, well, why can't we do something similar to what appears to be a hypothetical algorithm based on historical tax rates to determine what we think
Okay.
the taxes would be? I don't know. I just read the words.
I guess I would just, I was trying to do a comparison using the car dealerships that we have in town.
Yeah.
Because it was approximately $3 million of capital going into this project over here. And I don't know what the capital was going into it, but the value of those buildings down there, approximately $2.9 million apiece. Very close in.
I would disagree, though.
Right.
I would disagree that a solar panel has the same,
Revenue
a solar
generation.
field has the same cost aspect of a structure.
$3.3 million going in there for a megawatt, right? We would agree on that?
Something between 2.5 and 3.
Okay, $3 million for a megawatt.
Okay?
And the car dealership is approximately 2.9 million value. That's value. So just,
But
yeah, go ahead.
you're valuing a building as compared to a solar panel. Whether or not it works out to be the same because you have so many solar panels, may be true, but the value of the cost of, I don't know that the cost of development always equals the cost of the valuation of the property. Is that normal?
No, but there is a correlation in there somewhere.
No, you started with no, though. I want to stop there and
Well,
say,
because, yes, there's a correlation.
You know something? We can sit here and go around and around all
Yeah, I
night
know.
long
I don't want-
on guesses.
You got things
I
to
don't-
do.
I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess. I want to know a number.
No, what I'm telling you is, they pay $46,000 a year in property taxes.
Okay?
Even if the numbers are way off on your values, they pay $46,000 a year in property taxes. I had it, this place was paying, sorry, but it was 35 and 10 with a 2% escalator. It only makes it worse in my mind, but even if it was 10, even if you went with 10,000 with a 2% escalator, wow, what a disparaging number between what someone else pays in town versus what they pay or
Yeah,
would
but-
be
but-
projected to pay.
so is the acreage the same? In terms of the
No,
three dealerships?
The car dealership has approximately 4-point-something acres.
Okay. And so you just based it on, because everything I thought had to do with revenue generation, not
No, if
investment.
you use the revenue approach,
Right,
then you could do that.
Was
And then the
35
analogy would be wrong.
right. So isn't that- but isn't
35,000 a
that
year?
what we were talking about doing that, right?
35,000 per megawatt
Per year.
per year, right. That's all in.
That's all in price.
Okay? So we're looking at 35,000 per megawatt per year.
Correct.
So you're looking at 70 grand
For a 2 megawatt
for the
system.
two, then,
105.
105 for a three.
105 for
so 105,000 for three.
So you could be talking a $40,000 tax bill and a $60,000, $65,000 lease, right? If we wanted to break
Oh,
it
you
down.
break it out however you want. I mean,
Right.
And that's where it all comes down to, you guys set that.
Oh,
I'll
well-
do the homework on finding out the difference.
Right, no, but I want to be very clear, because what I keep hearing, it starts with, oh my God, it's a bad deal, to where I think the numbers just sounded to be.
Nobody said it was a bad deal.
Are we leaving money on the table?
That doesn't say it's a bad deal.
Okay, are we leaving money on the table?
I don't know. Was it said? Yes, it was.
All right, so,
But then you also said, no, you're right, after you look at
Because
some
I
of
made a
this paper.
mistake on from what I was told last week.
Okay, so,
You did too.
Yeah, oh, yeah, both are misunderstood,
Yeah, so,
okay, so, all right, that's fine. Okay, so what I would just like to know is, we need to get a price so that the assessor's office can make use a formula to come up with some kind of number, that if we're going to do the pilot, that's the way we go. Or if we go with a straight tax and a tax bill and on what the amount is,
right.
yeah, okay, good.
And I think the other thing I would ask from Northeast is, to the extent that we can get solar project comparisons versus a straight commercial, just, I want to, if we're leaving money on the table, I want to see it in terms of similar types of ventures, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that would make sense as well, because honestly, Ken, you're not bringing up anything that other people aren't going to ask on the floor. So the more information we have, the better off we're going to be, right? So if we can do that. And I think you probably did some of that with the original presentation. You had some similar areas, so maybe we can dig that up and put
Again,
those.
we were seeing in N-Grid SEMA for a lease rate was 15,000 to 17,000 per megawatt. That's what we were seeing under phase one.
Right.
And that was not the pilot.
No, I guess what we want to see, now that we're into the point where we're negotiating a lease, let's see apples to apples comparison of solar to solar. We've got some commercial comparisons we can make on our own, and let's go forward.
And just don't stick to SEMA. Grafton, I guess I'm gonna go check out at your Grafton. Is that on private property, or is that municipal?
Not sure. I think, not sure. I think it's municipal.
Oh, well, then there's a good one for me to check tomorrow morning.
I mean, that would be an apples to apples, right? To
Yep.
get past the Marshfield questions we had.
And there's one in Lancaster, there's one going in Parma, they're going in all over the place.
So if one goes in here, we want to make sure it makes sense for the town of Mendon.
10-4, okay. Next item. We good? Thank you, everybody. All right, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
No, I appreciate all the input, actually. It's good.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
One of the things, Rich, to anything like this, doesn't FinCom need to have an opinion on it, right? For the floor?
I don't know, I mean, unless we're spending money, no.
I mean, ultimately.
No, but in
ultimately,
terms
it's
of
100%
fiscal management
increase
policy.
of the money we get right now.
Well, I mean, you have every right to ask any advisor you like.
No, I'm just saying, that our fiscal management policies would say, before we enter into any sort of agreement like this,
Oh, it does say that in the
Right.
long-range financial planning committee.
so that's sort of why I think, I keep asking you to sit at the table. And Willem, next time, you should be at the table too, because you're here. Why not, right?
Thank you, everybody.
All good information, gentlemen. Makes your head spin, doesn't it?
Consider guidelines for the senior work. Do we have that? Do we have the guidelines or no? What is that? We're gonna
Is this-
put guidelines in there?
That's what I drafted based on discussion at previous meetings.
Right. So it's about, not necessarily replacing, but
What's the lines for?
office coverage.
If you wanted to add more, I'll put in notes.
I'll accept a motion.
Shall I read this first?
What's the motion, isn't it?
No, this is actually the policy. This is the motion.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So what we're looking at is individuals shall, the role, right, so reasons for it. The individual shall be scheduled for coverage when offices will be closed due to vacation or absence, so back up that way. Program can be used when workload increases due to cyclical nature, such as tax mailings, or when heavy volume demands cannot be met by existing staff. Until a town administrator is hired, the BOS will approve on a case-by-case basis. That is what we are going to make a motion to approve or discuss. Fair? I move to adopt the Senior Veteran Work-Off Abatement Program authorized uses, which is the document I just read.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You voting?
Aye, yes, I am voting, absolutely.
Says. Consider renaming the old road to Upton.
There's still,
One question I had that really isn't an authorized use, but a guideline, as far as quarrying people, Mark had a good idea, because some people have already been quarried, but I don't have their paperwork, because I just started in this position. So he suggested that as people fill in slots, then they would be quarried, as opposed to just quarrying everybody that applies at once. Does
Agreed.
that work for you?
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Anything else on it?
No, thank you.
Consider renaming,
Oh, sorry, so bad. There were several requests that came in from different departments. Did
I know
you?
we kind of allowed one that was.
Right, that was the one because it was starting
Do you need us
tomorrow.
to sign it?
Was that the building department, one we approved?
Assessors. So right now, I guess we're just approving these.
I think if they fall into the.
Why do we have two different ones? We have different forms that they're filling out. Stuff. I came prepared today. I guess I'll just sign these for now. There's only one line.
That's the burden that comes with the chair.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that ink. All right, thanks. We're all in agreement with those, right?
Yep.
I've signed. Okay, consider renaming the old road Upton. I've had a request that we name it to something, for instance, like Kim's Way or something. Okay, is that okay with you guys?
Kim's Way?
Kim's Way.
Yeah. Yep,
What, I thought we were
Based upon-
investigating Gannett, no?
that's it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it,
You guys okay? Yes.
If I had a vote, I would not change the name. I think that Old Road to Upton has a certain nostalgic sound, romantic sound maybe, so I would leave it as it is.
yeah, why are we?
Old Upton
What's the
Road?
rationale?
Yeah, for
We
changing
were
it?
requested by the assessor's office to change the name of the road.
Well, it wasn't actually, yeah, Well, it was
But why
like-
change it?
I don't.
I like it.
Now that I've gone through all this, everybody wants to know why? Please hold. I would table. Let's table it a little bit longer. It's only been 6 months.
We can't table this.
I'm gonna find out. I forget right, but at this point, it's been so long. Hold, please. I shall find out.
In the meantime,
Stop.
so while you're looking.
All right, yes.
Why don't I move to approve the regular session meeting minutes of December 16th and 18th, 2013, and January 13th, 2014.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hold on, sorry. Wasn't that far there, was it? This was from Diane.
Everything's from Diane.
Okay, so the old road to Upton is not an official name. It's never been adopted by the town. So it was just written on there for, so you could have something to compare it to. Hold on.
So we could adopt it as the name.
Suggestion? Change it to Old Upton Road.
There's also a question here. Do you have, will it have any effect on the Philbrook decision?
Well, that horse is
yeah,
out of the barn right there.
Oh, my God. The
sorry,
whole thing had an effect.
sorry.
Maintenance contract for Founder's Park. So is that,
I mean, I don't care what we name it, really, so you guys pick.
Old Upton Road is fine with me.
Did we ask somebody for some
I did.
input on Kim's Way?
I did.
So, I mean, if we ask somebody, I kind of think the horse is out of the barn on that one, too. You know what I mean? So they have an expectation now, right?
I don't know.
Well, it seems
Now,
like-
now what I've just said, I would expect that there's, if anybody's listening from that family, I mean,
Yeah, no, I say we go with, Kim. If we've already gone
I
down
mean,
this path.
I don't think it matters either way.
Well, it feels like if we ask somebody, no,
I went and asked somebody, and it was based upon
right.
somebody that passed away. And I didn't really want to have this discussion, but, and what this family has done for the town of Mendon.
I was gonna say, this type of name feels like it's personal, we've asked, we should honor the ask. So, I move to rename the old road to Upton to Kim's Way.
Second.
Can you just put a caveat on that, or put something in there that, oh, no, we don't have to put anything in there. Go ahead. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please, if we can reach out to town council, though, and let them know that we've changed this from what's on any legal document to Kim's Way, so that they can change any references if they need to.
So is this possibly pending review by town council to make sure they do not say, don't do that yet?
Pending, but, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, this will be pending review by town council.
Yeah, I think so, because again, I just don't want to screw anything up any worse than it already is up there. My fault, by the way. I will admit that whole thing.
No. I'm sitting right beside you on that one.
No, the old road to Upton mess is completely and utterly my fault, but I've tried to help Mr. Philbrick, to be able to build a house, and it turned out to be this whole, now there's 81P lots coming out of the woodwork, and now we have to build a road, and now this is all my fault, so. Sometimes saying yes does come back to get you. But for all the good items that came out of saying yes, I'll take one bad one.
That is a contract to be signed for a maintenance
This is
contract?
for, okay, the tree, we're gonna have some tree trimming done up at Founder's Park for the amount of $3,600, which is, there's money in the Founder's Park account to fund this. No, it's not, it's Founder's Park money, isn't it?
That was conservation.
Hold on, I got an email.
There was like a gift account, isn't there a gift?
Yeah.
Founders Park gift account.
Rich, quick question on the warrant. When is the FinCom meeting and reviewing and voting on that, or has that already taken place? A week from Wednesday? A week from Wednesday? To next week.
It is from a Founder's Park account, so it's a gift, one second, you just, thank you.
So, our last piece of business.
Do we need a motion on that?
I was,
Discuss interviews for the town administrator, what do we need?
Thursday.
Right, yeah, we're gonna interview Thursday, the town administrator positions, and I think make an actual decision that evening, I would imagine, right?
I would think so.
Thursday?
Thursday.
Skiing on Thursdays, what time are we doing that?
6 o'clock.
Oh, boy,
I will be there.
it's private, Will, you can't come.
Hey, good news for you.
I know. I know. Those are done. That's done. Okay, now we'll just go over the warrant. Do we need to go over the warrant, or are we good to go? We just gonna sign the warrant?
the only,
I have 2 articles I wanna add in the middle. No, I'm
I'll send you the file and you can add it, okay?
Love you too.
kidding. I'm only kidding. Sorry, do we need
He
to?
interviewing for an
Is-
administrative assistant, too.
You added Article 16, which is the lease.
Correct.
right?
And then, yes. And,
Okay, Article 1, we're going to pass over, correct?
Well, that's what I'm gonna recommend, yeah, because after last week's
Sure.
conversation about the PCs, if we're not doing it, grant that other request, we shouldn't be doing that in FinCom.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay. Unless, is that other article still on there? That other article's still on there.
But
Both articles will be still on there, but we'll just.
Well, the other article, that PC was a bundle of.
Right.
And I don't know if there are any further discussions. I know that did you go meet with the town clerk?
I did talk to the town clerk.
So at this point, we're still not gonna order any equipment. Is that the case?
I can't answer that
I
question.
mean, that's what we voted last time. So the question is, do we want to revisit that vote?
Yeah, I know, I can't.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I'm in favor of revisiting the vote.
you are? Okay, I'm not, but that's okay. I mean, I'm not really.
Don't make me do a tiebreaker.
Well, if you're not, then it's just.
No, just,
Well,
I
then
mean,
I would at least say discuss it.
right, that's what I'm gonna say, convince me.
Well, I don't know, I mean, I haven't got a chance to really meet with Margaret and talk to her about it, so I'd like to do that before I,
Can I just make a suggestion?
Make my argument.
Why debate it now? That article has to stay on there anyway. Your objective now is to sign the warrant, right?
No, it's-
And when we post to the FinCom, we can discuss and decide, you get a chance to talk about it.
You know what, the article is on there?
No, I
It's
just,
on there, with it's bundled with.
no, I understand, the article's not coming off, so the tactical objective of signing the warrant can still go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just more curious as to, you know, I mean, I think Margaret wrote a very detailed email after hearing the results of last week's vote. I would like to see that before we have it presented to us, because it was far more in-depth than what we got the first time. But I'm still of the opinion, it's kind of like, you know, extending hours, equipment. I think we need a more holistic approach on this stuff, and if we can make do for the time being and revisit it. Because the other thing we said last week, from the FinCom's perspective, was, we got nothing after this, right? It's tight, based on. Right.
So, one other quick note on that. PC died in the treasurer collector's office, but it is the counter PC. So what I would recommend, there'll be there's an estimate because it'll be coming over to replace that. But what I would suggest is that we replace a PC somewhere else, either in that office or in another office, and reprocess somebody's older one to that counter, because that counter, and this may be not even a discussion for here, but the plan would be to reprocess an older computer to the counter, because the counter only does lookups, and it only does one function, that's a remote desktop session back to the server.
Right.
So there's no workload being done there. So somebody else that has an older PC, I would replace that first.
What about the PC that's in the assessor's office that's used for lookups and stuff? Can we have a multi-purpose PC for lookups across town?
Well, the thing is, that's a public lookup.
Right.
The one that's across the hall is for the office lookups, not a public lookup.
Right, okay.
So your exact point is exactly the same logic you could apply to the PC that Margaret wants, because that's all it's doing. It's just some web browsing, some email lookup. It's low intensity stuff, so you may want to repurpose, let's say, town accountants and get a better PC in there. But since the last week, we had some email exchanges with the folks at Worldband, and you scheduled
An inventory thing.
Inventory for this
Right.
week, which was the main concern from the clerk's office. Okay, if that's what we're gonna do, then let's get it done.
Well, that was the action that came out of last week's meeting, so we're moving ahead on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, warrants on there. The motion will tie into more of the dollar amounts, which would come in discussion with the FinCom approval and review. So we still got more time
Yep.
to revisit our thought, and if need be, we would need to probably revisit our vote probably before the STM, once we understand
And-
where we're going.
And we should have the inventory with life cycles on everything for you, way before that.
And when's that meeting with FinCom? Next Wednesday?
I haven't posted for the warrant review yet, but
So you
probably a week from Wednesday. No, it can't be a week from Wednesday, it's probably 2 weeks.
Can't be 2 weeks, can it?
I'm not sure.
It's coming up
Yeah.
on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it can be the 19th.
Things
wanna see it?
Sneaking up on me.
All right, so,
I have one thing I just want to bring
Yeah.
up that I had thought of, and I see both sides to this issue, but I want to bring it up anyway. With the 25,000 that the police would like to put in with Cinco coming back early, I know we put 22,000 in there for the administrative position. And a thought of mine was that seeing that Cinco coming back early is kind of a unexpected add, that maybe we think about going with maybe only increasing that line item by the 3,000 and holding off for another 4 months for the administrative assistant. But I can see both sides, so I just wanted to put that out on the table.
I think that's a conversation to have with Dave Kersey, if you get a minute.
No, I have.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm saying, I can see both sides, but
Okay,
I think it should be considered,
okay.
seeing that we've come a long way with how far we've gone without the administrative assistant there.
So then we're only
Is
saying.
4 more months gonna be,
Saying only put that into next year's fiscal year
Right.
budget, hire July 1.
it would also put us in a better position this year with, 25,000 going there, or 3,000 going there. So that's just my thought on that.
All right, thank you. We did receive 100 and something resumes or applications for that position already. The police clerk's been out for 2 days or something. They received 100 and some applications and are probably expecting over 200.
Wow.
I would not want to sift through that pile.
I'd like to hope you get a good candidate out of that pile.
Rewrite, you would think. But okay, that's a good point. And, okay. Anything else?
So, I mean, just to the point, do we move forward as is? I mean, it's-
Well, I don't think that article is gonna come up anyway, because it was mixed in with other things, and I think if we make a decision to change your mind on whether or not we're gonna buy a PC or something, we can
I'm
do
talking
it.
about the police. We're off,
Oh.
I think you're suggesting when the motion goes, and maybe it doesn't need to be decided now, because the article stays,
Right.
the amount.
Changes in the motion.
So do we have a recommendation that we would give the FinCom on that point, so that they have something to discuss? Otherwise, it'll be bounced back to us saying, what do we want to do?
The recommendation was fund it 3,000, 7,000, what'd you say?
I was thinking, we've already put 22 in, so give them another 3 to bring Cinco back,
Yeah.
and then wait another 4 months
On the admin?
on the admin. As, like I said, I see both sides, but
To get this straight, you want to advise us how we should advise you? That was a joke.
Well, I mean,
No,
no,
it's-
You guys decide. I mean, I think that'd be, our job to tell you, I give you what we think, but you don't have to have an opinion on it, I don't think, before we discuss it.
right, I mean, generally, at this point, we'd probably, we'll talk about timing later. It's fine.
I'm just seeing that there's so many things out there, and to just, I'm struggling with this in my own mind, because I want that position, the administrative assistant, but yet, because of the fact that Cinco's coming back early, that threw in that extra 25,000 that kind of was there for other uses, so that's why I'm thinking, give them the amount for Cinco, and then table it till July. But, again,
So it's an option for FinCom to think about, because it's just another way to get there.
Yep.
There's no bearing on policy or hiring and
2 minutes?
decisions we need to make.
Anything else?
Should I sign
I got 2 minutes. All right, so I move to sign the February 24th, 2014 special town meeting warrant.
second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Sign it?
Oh, I didn't sign it. Not yet. I'll sign last. Give the chair the first one to sign first.
Oh, really? Be surprised when you get there. You got that back. Who left the FinCom?
Mr. Peterson.
Can we draft a letter thanking him for his service?
We can.
Thank you. All right, can we go into executive session for contract negotiation discussion? Should only take a minute, I just want to update you on the 2 meetings we've had.
Can we?
It's not on the agenda.
Oh, it's not on the agenda.
No,
Oh,
it's on for the
then
10th.
we'll do it the next time, no big deal, because we still have some time in there. And, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second?
discussion? All in favor, good night, everybody, thank you very much.